Oh, what's going on, Cardfighters? How are you? Hey, how was that last discussion? Great? I bet it was. Now, we're getting into connecting people through card fighting, just the way how people connect on the dance floor. This game has brought a lot of people together that would have never really gotten together. This game is a game that we love. It's a game that we enjoy. And all the friends, all the people that you've met through this game, just think about it. Think about it. How many people you connected through this game? Heck, all the people I've connected with through this game. A great game, and we love it. So let's go ahead and get into that discussion.
Welcome everybody to Cardfight Con's Community Judges TO panel. My name is Greg. I'm going to be your host, and this is our panel. I'm going to have them introduce themselves. We're going to start with Mr. Edward.
Hey, Edward Vanmans, admin of Vanguardians. I've done a lot of stuff as far as judging for Bushiroad, ARG when it was around, and host Vanguard Zero Hero Zero tournaments as well.
All right, Hearth.
Nice. Hi. Let me start by saying thanks for having me. My name is Hart Hayawi, aka D-Boy from Team Crushing the Meta. Currently living in the Netherlands, so basically in Europe.
All right, Ben.
Hi there, my name's Ben, also more commonly known as Zistral or Yellow Card Vanguard. I am without wanting to blow my own horn, I would say one of the premier judges in Europe. I've worked pretty much almost every event in the UK since 2017, with quite a few in mainland Europe as well. And obviously, being Yellow Card Vanguard, I have a big interest in teaching people how to be good at the game, helping people learn how to be better, improve deck lists, and improve their gameplay. And also something that I did a few years ago, and I'm hoping to bring back next year or in the distant future, is I hosted one of the first VGCSs outside of Asia, and that was probably one of, I think, the second or third biggest unofficial Bushiroad event in Europe. So that's pretty much as far as it goes for my community accolades.
All right, Case.
Hi, I'm Casey, or Cross, with Cardfight Vision, and I am one of the head admins for the tournament organization.
Okay. And Robbie.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me. Each and every one of you are really awesome. Thanks for being here. My name is Robbie Cole. I am the creator of Vanguardians. You guys also might know me as Van Cole 40 on this side. Also working on bringing a tournament series to the Midwest here. We've been having a lot of success with the last couple events that we've ran. And I look forward to doing more stuff IRL, once everything gets back to normal.
All right, well, let's dive right into it. What motivated y'all to get into organization on a local or bigger level than local, I should say, scale? Don't everyone jump forward at once.
Going first, okay. I guess on my side, it was pretty simple. I enjoy Cardfight Vanguard, and I want to spread as much of the joy and enjoyment of the community that I have. Especially since I was lucky enough to have success during Team League. So, once you kind of taste that and you're done with that, you kind of want to see someone else be in that position, or at least that's how I felt.
Fair enough.
All right. For me, actually, I'm also the head admin on the Dutch group on Facebook. So it's actually the group in the Netherlands of people playing Vanguard is not that big. Although we send almost every year at least one player to Worlds, we still have a small group of 50 to 100 really active people because there are not that much players in the Netherlands. So we started actually by trying to introduce more people to the game, try to have more locals, try to take people more to France, Germany, and other countries to play. UK as well is one of the biggest, UK and France as in Europe. So it does motivate us a lot, of course, to push people to play in other countries and not to only stay play in locals. So yeah, that's one of the things that motivate me to bring this to the community, to motivate people to play more and enter tournaments and see how fun it is, especially Team League, one of the most interesting things that actually Bushiroad does. So yeah, that's one of the most important things for me.
Ben, you said you ran tournaments. What motivated you to get to those?
So the reason I decided to host a tournament on my own a few years ago was mainly because the UK has always been a weird one in events because our timing, like Europe timing, is always different to the rest of the world. Like it's always one of the last ones in the seasons, and the UK in particular is like one of the last ones in the Europe season. So like for example, the year that I hosted the VGCS, our Springfest was in July, first weekend of July, which is months after everywhere else had already had it, and our autumn circuit was like last week of November, last week of October, first week of November. So again, super late compared to everyone else. And I saw that within the calendar year, there was like this big stretch of time from January to April where people just had nothing to look forward to. So I'd seen like a bunch of my other friends in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Japan, like hosting their own VGCS events to big success. And I thought to myself, like the way they did it was that they gathered all the pre-registrations first, collected all the entry fees, and then used that to like put the event together, host the venue, and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, I could probably do that. And so I kind of I winged it. I just went for it, see what happened, saw what the response was, and yeah, it just blew up. Like we had people traveling from all over the UK. We even had a team from France come by, which was super cool to see. And I think having like people just want to play Vanguard, right? Like the reason we're all playing this game is because we enjoy the game, and so yeah, people just want to play Vanguard, and then the more chances you give people to play Vanguard, especially outside of like their regular local events, makes a really really big difference. And obviously, I had the benefit of at that point I was already established my name as like a big judge. Everyone knew who I was. Everyone could trust me. I could run the event properly. And I think the way I got to that point was, I started playing card games about 10 years ago with Magic the Gathering. And Magic the Gathering is a very, very complicated game. And then I was learning to play Magic, and I was like, okay, this game is cool. And then I started learning the rules, and I thought to myself, how can I learn the rules more? Like, because there's like thousands of pages worth of Magic the Gathering rules. And someone said, oh, if you're learning the rules, you can try and take the judge exam, see how that goes. And then I did that. One thing led to another. I became a Magic judge. I was running events for Magic all the time. And then when I eventually got into Vanguard, I saw how Bushiroad were running events. I saw how the scene and the system was for Vanguard. And I realized, wow, the Bushiroad system is really, really flawed. Like we can do so much better. It's especially from a player's perspective because I saw it firsthand from being a player. Like my first tournament, I was a player and not a judge, and I was just sitting there, experiencing the tournament, thinking this could be better, that could be better. I want to be the change that makes it better for everyone else playing in the events. So I just from there on I spoke to Bushiroad, applied to be a judge, and the rest is history.
Yeah, no, I know we've all experienced tournaments for Bushi and been like, oh wow. So Casey, Vision tournaments, they've been popping up all over the place. Y'all have been doing a lot past year. Tell us about those. Why?
Yeah. So we originally started as a content group between written and video content, but of course we all loved playing the actual game. Though we all noticed we were kind of far apart in the country, like most of us were in the West and then some of us were in the East, and we had some Midwest, and we all realized, this could be a common issue. So we wanted to try to set up something unique, which was a online Vanguard community for tournaments. So we started around June of 2019. And ever since then, we've been trying to consistently do it and build a community for people that maybe don't have locals or BCS and give them a place to play Vanguard, even if it's just at home.
Well, that's fair. I know everyone's been appreciating them. They've been good tournaments. I've paid attention to them for a while. They're pretty cool. Robbie, what about you? What's inspiring you to get going?
You guys are the most selfless people in the universe. I just want to let you know that. So, okay, selfish time. So, the concept of why I'm involved in this game was because Yu-Gi-Oh was going down the crapper. All right, at the point in time, the anime was really cool. Blaster Dark, OG fan. It inspired me to want to get involved into this game. So, kind of seeing where like the community was struggling. we put together Vanguardians and started the whole concept. And it's been growing ever since. So I mainly did this because I didn't like how other people in the community at the time were doing things. You know what they said: if you don't like what somebody else is doing, do it better yourself, right? So, and that, I think it's a lot of what a lot of people end up doing is they want to try something out their own way because they see what everybody else is doing, and they're like, hey, let's try this. So I like I said, I did it very selfishly. We're doing our tournament series now because actually we had a tournament series in our area that stopped doing it about a year ago. So we kind of took the ideas and stuff that they were doing, and we're like, all right, well, if you don't want to support the game, we'll do it better, right? So that's my main involvement on. It's been very selfish at this point. It's just if nobody else wants to do it, I'll do it myself. So
That's fair. That also answers part of my next question, actually. Why should someone be a part of forming their own tournaments?
because it's fun.
I mean, is it fun? Is it really fun?
When you can tell somebody that they can that they got ninth place and that you're sorry they have to go home, it is a good feeling and a crushing one to people too. See, Ben gets it. Ben gets it.
Yeah, it's a thing that's happened. I've been on that end many times.
You've been on that end probably in both competitive and playing too. Like just the soul
100%,
crushing
yeah.
defeat.
Yep. I think for me, like the main reason I think someone should get involved with their community as a whole, like at a larger, like beyond just being part of it, is the fact that it really benefits everyone. Like, I could rattle off the endless number of things that I was fed by the Magic Judge program about how, you learn like responsibility, you learn people skills, you learn organizational skills, you learn like how to manage your priorities and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, like, that's just a very small facet of it. Being like being told by someone, hey, thanks for doing what being a judge, thanks for running this event and all that stuff, like that alone is worth more than everything else probably put together, I can confidently say.
That makes
I
sense.
think for me it was partly because the community was actually not growing at all. Then we had that time where, let's say, we started G, and a lot of people didn't want to play Vanguard anymore. They actually hanged on to the Legion era, and then started G, and all these G Guardians and everything was coming. Sort of hand traps, as we know from Yu-Gi-Oh, which kind of also made a big difference in the game, like Denial Griffin, all of those G Guardians. And we saw like our community like kept the same, and lots of people stopped playing, so it became smaller and smaller. And there was one of those things where you I'm kind of guy who doesn't always take the lead, but sometimes you kind of have to. So I was like, yo, hey, we could make it different. Like we could try to host more tournaments days through the week, because some people can't really play on weekends like Saturday and Sunday, or even on Friday, like Friday with Magic. So we started doing Mondays because lots of people in the Netherlands are free on Mondays. So we started like doing tournaments on Mondays, having like chill days where we go to like a shop and we try to like buy stuff from there, but also chill there and play some games, play like small tournaments. And it started actually from there. We got even more players playing the game. People that weren't that active start to became active again. So for me, it was one of the reasons why we also created Crushing the Meta as a channel, is that we really wanted people in Netherlands to play more and like grow. We wanted the community to be bigger and bigger. And as you guys also said, it's the best way to make the community grow is to host more tournaments, to make the like to make the game playable, like to have people to come in, play games, and have fun. So that was actually one of the most things that we wanted to achieve. And looking at the community right now in the Netherlands, it's looking great. Like we go on vacations together, like we have lots of fun, we play lots of team league, we travel to almost every country in Europe. And I'm very happy that you actually also said from the UK, like your events are almost at the end of the season, because for us, like from the Netherlands, if we didn't really get the opportunity to go to like Germany or France, UK is like the destination to go to. Like we will be planning our trip to UK and then go there and just have fun and play games. And yeah, that's actually like the most important thing. Just have fun, play games, and have the opportunity to do so.
Okay.
One other thing I just want to mention on the
Sure.
end of it as well is I think something that gets mentioned. I see it mentioned in my circles a lot, but I don't see it mentioned like it's kind of goes like almost taken for granted amongst a lot of other people, which is that you can't play Vanguard on your own. Like you have to have at least an opponent to play, and as a result of
fair.
that, Vanguard becomes or card games in general becomes a very social thing. Like I know a lot of people who don't really play the game for the game anymore, but play because their friends play. And if nothing else, having events, semi regularly gives you an excuse to go and meet those friends, hang out with those people. And that's
Yeah.
a big thing that I think a lot of people like take for granted.
Yeah, I
You
agree
see it in other
100%.
communities. You see it in other communities. Melee's been around for a long time, not because of the support of Nintendo, but because of the support of their community on its own. So it's an
Yeah.
instance where obviously you need an opponent when it comes to TCGs and Vanguard. So the best way to grow it is with the community you have and introducing to other people and having more events, even at a local level. You'll see other people from other card games. Hey, what are they doing over there? They've been here a bunch of times. Everybody's getting hyped. So it's really a big way to build it and keep Vanguard alive.
That's fair. Yeah.
And going off what Ben had originally said, I think there's definitely like a sense of like joy when it comes to knowing you're like helping that community. Like I've been yelled at by many people, and a lot of our other organizers have, but like just seeing like that one person like DM us and be like, hey, like thank you guys for doing this. Like I don't have a locals or anything. Like being able to like play and experience this and get to watch the stream and everything, like it's a really nice process. And like after every tournament we'll go into the vision server and be like, great work, great teamwork. And so it's rewarding to get to see not only like the participants but also the organizers, because there's like a certain level of teamwork and camaraderie we get to see from it.
Yeah.
That's
Also
fair.
talking about the community of Vanguard, of course, we have seen like it's very different from other card games. Of course, don't want to call names, but the community of Vanguard is very welcoming. Like we have seen that a lot. Like you go into tournaments and sometimes like some player forget their decks, and like some other people will be like, oh, you could just try my deck out, just play the tournament and give it back after the tournament. Or when people lose stuff, they just most of the time just get it back, which is very different, but it's just yet another thing that we really appreciate a lot. Like sometimes you see people playing Vanguard, and when somebody else like just want to see what they're doing, and mostly people will be like, oh yeah, do you want to try it out? We could explain how the game works. While in some other card games, when you try to peek into it, people are like, why are you looking at us? Like, don't do that. Let us just play our game. So it's very different, but it's also just really nice to see that people are so welcoming, like in on Facebook groups, but also in real life in events. Like yes, just try it out, play some games, have fun, and that energy, that positive vibe, you could just feel that from the game of Vanguard. So that's just another thing that we could really appreciate a lot.
Can you imagine getting your deck back at a YCS?
Oh.
Oh, my bad. No props.
After they're running into the bathroom, dumping it in the trash can. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next question now. Since you guys are all part of the community, you guys have multiple things going on in the community. What do you do to balance that? Oh, lost Robbie.
Bet.
Okay. So the question is, what do you guys do to balance everything? Because a lot of you guys are also admins, or you do other things, not just the big events that you run. How do you guys balance all of that?
You don't.
You don't.
I actually don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it's kind of impossible. Like a lot of people think that when you're hosting like an event, like say a BCS, you kind of like drop everything else in life and just that BCS becomes your life for like those 28 or 24 or 48 hours or whatever. But that's definitely not sustainable. That's definitely not how I've done it. It's like speaking from a purely TO judge standpoint, you're on the you're awake from 7 and you're working from 7 until like 7 or 8 or whenever it is your tournament ends, and that's a solid 12 14 hours work. And then to do nothing but that for 14 hours is super impractical. So I think the important thing is when you're constantly in the limelight, you need to find time to just like break away and like split it up like sections. You don't just run a tournament for 10 straight hours. You run the tournament for 3 hours, and then you take a half hour to go get lunch and pray that whoever it is you have as your judges or your head judge, or like your other, like your sub TO is like doing a good job, and then do it for another 3 hours, then have another half hour break, and so on and so forth.
Something
In terms of yep.
I was going to say, Ben, with you in that scenario, it's really important that you have a good team that you can rely on.
Yeah.
All right. Like you are dedicating a lot of your time to doing what you're doing, and it's only going to be as successful as the people that are around you assisting you. So it is very important that, especially for you to take those breaks, you do have to make sure that the people that are judging are good to go.
Yeah.
So
And then the flip side as well is that even if you could work for 10 straight hours, you yourself probably have weaknesses and flaws, and there's stuff that you can't do and stuff that you're not good at. And so finding people that can do those things and can cover the stuff that you can't do, again, it's just like the less work you have to do on stuff that's not important or that you do well, the better.
Yeah, definitely going off that aspect of teamwork. I mean, without the rest of Vision and the organizers, I couldn't do this by myself at all. There's just so many aspects and things that need to be looked into and dealt with. I think teamwork is a very underrated but very important aspect of tournament organization.
Especially when it comes to hosting and creating a tournament, even at your local level. I mean, we've done pre-pandemic. We ran a Legacy Cup essentially at a local New York shop in Queens, and going into it essentially 2 months in advance, it was a constant state of panic until the day before, essentially. But we had a team, we pulled it together, and it ended up being a success. But that's just how I feel like if you thrive under pressure when it comes to creating a tournament or trying to organize and create something for your community, it's something that you should definitely look into. But realistically, when you have to surround yourself with people that you can trust that'll help and put forward effort with you, it makes it super easy.
Yeah, and the experience, of course. I mean, if you have done this multiple times, you will find it easier to go through it. Although I have seen also in Europe, like we've seen that in Germany, in France, like sometimes we have less judges. Like we kind of need more. I think that's maybe you in the UK, you have less trouble with that, but we have seen like tournaments for about hundreds of people, which is not that much, but still they have only two judges, like only two, trying to keep up with everyone. And sometimes like they have also buddy fights in the same day, so you have like 200 people and you have only 4 judges to divide between buddy fight and Cardfight Vanguard, and then you could see like those judges are having really hard time like dealing with everything. Like when you have one issue, you can't really take 2 judges to talk to each other, to communicate on how to fix things. So you kind of really need that team. It's very important to surround yourself with people, first of all, you could rely on, you could trust, and you've worked with before, or that they could cover those flaws that you have. And most importantly, you need people that are players to play, but you also need judges. You really need judges. Like in Europe, especially, we are suffering from that issue. Like in the, let's say, in the last 2 years, we have very few judges, and most people just want to play. So even if they judges, they also want to play. So you have that balance between playing or judging. And the good thing that we have right now, I'm very happy that Bushra did this, is that we have the 2-day events, like the standard and premium. So what people could do is they could play on the first day and then judge on the second day, or the other way around. So that's one of the things that really helped us a lot, to have those judges also get motivated to play and judge.
Makes sense. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of stress and burnout. How do we deal with all that? So, let's see. What criteria do you think everyone should have when we make these events?
An amazing team to help you out, or it's gonna be horrible.
That's okay.
Yeah, this is a super hard question because no matter what scale event you're putting together, no matter like how big your community, no matter what it is you're doing, something you will immediately find, like once you're trying to lead or spearhead anything, is that the moment you bring together multiple different parties, they will all have their own multiple different goals, different values, different everything, and it's impossible to make everyone happy. Like just to give a very basic example, right? Like when I was hosting VGCS, for me, like, I initially paid for the venue out of pocket myself before I'd taken pre-orders. So for me, my number one goal was being like not making a loss, like breaking even. I didn't care about making a profit, but some people might care about that. I thankfully I did. I made a small profit in the end, which was enough to like cover my for like a week of like nice eating out or something. So it's not really much in the grand scheme of things, but it was enough. But then you have people that come to the event. What are they going to expect? What do the players want? And the judges would be like, I want the event to run this way because as a judge, your number one goal is player experience. Like that's literally your job as a judge. And then the venue itself, they want to make sure that the venue stays tidy. Like if you can push people to like make sales out of that venue either through food and drink or like supplies or packs or whatever, because they're a venue, they're a business. Their goal at the end of the day is to turn a profit, unlike you as a community independent volunteer. So trying to juggle all of these factors and trying to make everyone like happy at the same time, you kind of have to like it's not prioritize effectively, but understand where you can and can't allocate resources. Like if your venue only can hold 100 players due to health and safety reasons, you can't just go admitting 120 people because you need the numbers, you need the entry fees to make up your prize packs. That's not okay. So then you need to think about, okay, how can I adjust my prices or whatever else, my entry fee to make up for that, while also making sure that how much can I pay my judges, pay them a fair days of work because they're doing a big lot of days work. Some judges will do volunteer work for free, which is great, but you shouldn't be abusing that. And then for the players, it's like, okay, there's going to be 100 players in this room. They're going to expect this and this and this. My timing is this and this and this. We have the venue until that. And so the best way to get through that is 100% communication. Like, when you're booking a venue, tell the venue, here's what I want to do. Here's how many people I expect to get. How many people can you hold? Here's how much let me know how much you're going to charge me so I know how much to charge my players. When you talk to the judges, tell them, like, I want to give you a fair amount of pay, but it's also going to be very low because we have to prioritize the prizes in the venue and so on and so forth. You tell the players, like, I'm capping it at a hard 100-player limit. Can't go more, can't whatever. I need to have at least 80 players, for me to give out these many prizes. Otherwise, I don't make money, and so on and so forth. Like, if your communication is clear from the get-go, then any problems you encounter are definitely much more manageable down the line.
Makes sense. Anyone else have anything to add in?
Those things you have to. With all those things you kind of went over, it's your event. Like, take ownership and take control of your decisions, because you're gonna have, depending on your team, everyone's gonna be telling you, oh, we should do this, maybe we should do this, but ultimately it comes down to your decision. You have to be firm with it. You have to essentially follow through on it, because I don't know if everybody's dealt with a team. The last thing you want to hear is, I don't know, maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll do that. That is where you start going straight downhill. Be that leader. Like, you do have to watch out for your people. You can listen to opinion, but ultimately you have to stay firm with your decision and go with it. Because the last thing anybody needs is somebody flaky running anything, because it's going to turn everything into chaos.
Yeah, I guess the question is, like, why are you putting this event on? Why are you leading a community? Why are you doing this? And that's kind of like the main thing. Like, for you, as whatever role you're in, that's your priority. Like, profitability is whatever, player experience is whatever, finishing on time is whatever. The question is, can you achieve whatever goal it is you set out for yourself? Like, I started VGCS with the goal of, I want to fill this time in between events here in the UK. And I've seen people in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Korea, and they ran VGCSs just for the hell of it, because like, oh cool, it's another tournament we can do. And I've seen sometimes they've been successful because they've been carried by their team and the staff, and sometimes they've been flopped. Like, some of the most successful Malaysian VGCSs was one where they gave away a PS4 as first place prize, because at that point, they'd run so many events, they banked up like this big surplus of income that they could afford to do that. And then I saw a Singaporean VGCS where the shop just used it as an excuse to give out old packs and playmats, and people turned up and they claimed it was no different to regular locals, and they felt like scammed because they paid twice the entry fee of a regular locals. So it's this case of know what you want to do and stick to it and execute whatever your vision is.
Makes sense. Anyone else have anything to add before we move on? Nope.
I'll definitely
Alright.
say, going off what Ed said real quick, it's definitely being firm. There's a lot of chaos that can happen when you're organizing tournaments just between the players and judging and organization. Being firm where you can is definitely going to be not only effective but very important in just the whole structure of how it will run.
Yeah, also that like for me there are two things that are very important. First one is you have to be realistic. Like if you have like 60 people active in your community, don't get a venue who could cover like 100 people. That's just not realistic. You will never really get that money back, let's say. Not talking about profit, but at least break even. So be realistic. Like we hear that most of the time, start small. Yes, just start small and then from that like build on. If especially if it's like the first time or second time you're doing this, because people will come to this event and like they have that vision that they could do this and that, and then if you don't have the right judges, if you don't have the right people, if you don't have the right team, then don't just jump into it, because people will be expecting something and then you will give them something different. So just don't do that. Just try to give them what they expect from you to give them, and if you can't do that, then just don't do it. So that's for me is very important to not like mislead people, let's say, like telling them you could get this and that, and then afterwards it's not what they expected. So that's one thing. And the second thing, you should also understand that sometimes things could go wrong. Like nothing will be like that perfect scenario that you're hoping in your mind. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it's even better, but sometimes it's not. And you need like a plan B. You need something to fall back on. So that's also something that is very important to keep that in mind. Like sometimes things could go wrong, like one or two judges could not turn up, so you have like one or two judges less, so you'll have that problem that sometimes you have to jump in yourself, being a head judge or being like more of the organized people, and then come down and be a judge. Like you have to have that plan B. That's also one of the things that I've seen. Like one time in the Netherlands there was one event where like the shop owner just came to me and say, "Hey, D-boy, would you mind not playing today and be more of a judge?" And I was like, "Hey, I was actually coming in to play, but okay, I could try that." So that's one of the things that you don't really want to put your players in that situations where they have to choose. So yeah, just have a plan B and understand sometimes things could go wrong.
That's fair. That makes sense. Um, let's move on to the next one. What do you think the importance of having our community-driven events as opposed to like Bushiroad ones?
2 out of 3 format.
I have to hard agree there. Yeah.
That's fair.
Next topic.
Yeah, like the only benefit to having
What sort of
best of one games is a time reason. Like, I've had to run events where we had the option of doing best of 3 and we took it, and then I had events where we were forced into best of. Non-Bushiroad events where we were forced into best of 1 because we only had the venue until X hour. So I think the main thing is like Bushiroad's rules are good. They're not perfect yet, but they're good. They're better than they used to be 2 years ago. That's 100%. But the fact is, there's still improvements that can be made to how they run things. And the main thing about having community run events is that now you're the one now in control of that, right? Like, you can now say, we've seen people saying like, oh, Bushiroad should charge entry fee for their events, and they make it more competitive and give out some more prizes, or oh, Bushiroad should make best of 3, or oh, Bushiroad's time rules and end of round timings is bad, or whatever. And, like whatever problems you have with how Bushiroad runs their events, if you run your own event, you can fix those problems. That's the main thing. Like, and if you think that there are problems and you're trying to fix those problems in your event, that can only be a good thing, right? Because then once people experience your tournament and see, wow, this was so much better than how Bushiroad does it, that is what puts pressure on Bushiroad. Because then lots of people are now telling the staff at the Bushiroad events, hey, this other tournament did best of 3, it was really good. This other tournament, they did this at the end of round, it was really good. This other tournament did X, it was really good. And believe, like, I've spoken and I'm close enough with a lot of members of Bushiroad staff that I get to know this. But honestly, your feedback makes a difference. Like when you tell people, I like this, I don't like this, like it does go up the chain. Like people do get told about that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that actually Bushiroad does quite well, is that because we have judges like you who like judge in tournaments, but also talk to Bushiroad. Bushiroad really peek into the community and see what they're doing different. Like we have talked about this before. The best of one format is okay, but before the top 8. Like if you're playing a Swiss best of one, I'm okay with that. But you can't play a top 8 of best of one and then a finals is best of one. That's just like crazy, because like sometimes you GSs, you don't get the right cards, and then you'll be out of the tournament. Well, you went like 7-0, which is insane, right? So we have seen those tournaments that people organize themselves, and then you could see like the Swiss is going best of one, and then you get the tops, and then you play best of 3. So you manage your time just the right way. Well, sometimes we can see that some people want to play best of 3 the whole way, but that's also not right. Even if you have the whole day, like you'll be destroying your body, your mind, if you're playing a Swiss of 7 rounds and then you play a top 8 and everything is a best of 3. So that's the thing that we expect and hope that we should really peek into the community and see what they're doing while we host tournaments. And of course, they take that feedback, which is very good. So we're very happy that they do that.
That's good. Anyone else have anything to add to that? No?
You mean
Uh,
you're just, I was gonna say,
Sorry?
aren't you guys trained triathlon people? You can't play 10 rounds of Swiss in a day with a top cut.
I've seen it.
Oof.
I've seen it.
I've seen
I've
it.
seen people play 8 rounds at Nets and then put a top 16. They can do it. All right, so I can only really speak on the Bouchard USA side. They tried a few years ago to get 2 out of 3. It wasn't possible. They don't have the staff for it. You can tell by the fact that we have 700 plus people in New York and it's still top 8. They don't have the staff for it. It's not possible. I think the best iteration of the Bouchard tournaments that we had in the US was probably the 2-day event where you played and then a certain amount got cut for day 2. Day 2 played it out. I think it was like 3 or 4 more rounds, and then they had top cut for top 8. That was probably the best iteration they had, and they kind of did away with it because they didn't have the staff for it. It's
Agreed.
real hard on their side to provide all this stuff. I mean, they've tried to change the judge payout. They've tried the judge program. They've tried a bunch of multiple things, but the
Yeah.
staff just isn't there, unfortunately.
Yeah,
We
we're
had
going.
the same system in Europe as well, and it was really well received. And again, it came down to it was unsustainable.
And that's
So
also
that's
one of the things that players need to understand, is that they could say we want more judges, we want this and we want that, but you're expecting something from them while you yourself, you're not working on it. Like if you really want more judges, why not to try the judge program yourself? Because you could help the community. So you could expect stuff, but if you don't do something yourself, then nothing will happen. You could expect other people to just do it for you. So that's one of the things. Like you could say, hey, I went to a Bushroad championship series and we had only 2 judges and it didn't work. And people would like, yeah, we need more judges. And then I would be like, okay, why not to try it out yourself? To try to be a judge, to try to do something for your community. Like you guys like doing much for the community, from starting a group on Facebook to judging and organizing your own tournaments. You're really doing something for the community, and actually you're just taking like your free time to do it, because again, we mostly are not getting that much benefit from it. It's just like we like doing it and we just like the community in general.
Well, that's the cool thing. Like each and every one of us is doing our own part. Like whether or not you like judging, playing, or whatnot, like we all have the same goal at the end of the day, and it's we want something better, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Casey, got anything to add to that?
I was gonna mention, what we talked about at the beginning of the panels. Like, if you see something that you want to see done differently, do it yourself. And I think as a player base, we have a unique perspective because, as we've mentioned throughout this time, we see issues and faults that we want to fix. So organizing your own tournaments gives you the opportunity to do that and put that into effect.
It's fair enough. I mean, that's
way to bring it back.
yeah. Well, moving on from that, post our lockdown heavy society, what kind of events do you guys want to see? What are you looking to be a part of, and why?
For me myself, I really want to see Team League back. Like it's one of the most thing we enjoy. Uh, Playing Vanguard is Team League, although it's most of the times very crowded. We get lots of people, but it's less competitive somehow, and it feels just like more fun. Like where when we make our teams, I'm not picking up the best players I could find. I'm just picking up my friends. So like, yo, let's go, let's have some fun, and let's enjoy the game. So that's one of the things I just want to see, that fun factor again, and not see too much competitiveness into it. Like I just want to go towards. And with Team League, you're just like, yes, okay, I'm getting just another medal. But again, it's just fun to have that sitting there, like looking at the other players, what are they doing, and like just playing there and having fun. So that's one of the things I really want to see. I want to see people get excited, people just playing there, going with friends and having fun. So I think that's for me. It's one thing that I really want to see.
Makes sense. Anybody else have anything to add to that?
For me personally, like earlier this year, at the start of this year for Worlds, I joined Team Strictly Broken, and looking forward to this year. Like I was thought to myself, wow, I'm like one of the main reasons I always judged rather than playing events was because there was no point. Like I saw no benefit to me playing the events. Like going to Worlds was kind of like a whatever thing for me. And the only reason I even played BCS London in the first place was primarily for the Harmonix Messiah promo. Like going to Worlds was a secondary reward. But now that I'm representing a team and like there's that there's now that competitive drive. I was really looking forward to like representing the team and like actually putting forward like a foot to actually do well at events for once, compared to just being on the sidelines, just running it from the sides. And something I was looking forward to. But on the plus side, no events means that I no longer have to make the decision of do I judge or do I play and represent the team.
See,
fair.
that's the thing again. Like I'm myself, I'm not a judge, so I don't have to make the decision, hopefully. But the thing is, when you are a judge, you really have to make the decision, and I think that just feel like, sorry, I'm gonna say it, but it does really feel like shit sometimes, because on the one hand, you just want to help the community to judge, but let's be honest, we also are players. We just want to play and enjoy the game. And sometimes, if you're a judge, you're put into a situation where it's your friend or not your friend that you have to say, no, that you're disqualified. And we don't want to make, yeah, that part is always disgusting, but you have to make it, especially if it's the right choice and you know it is. So I'm really appreciating all the judges out there that they're doing their work. It's the same like with, we're talking about sports, we're talking about referees. Like judges are the same thing. They're just doing their job. So there is no reason to get angry at a judge, because if you don't agree with him, then just ask him and say, hey, could you explain this to me? Because I think it should be done this way. But if you get angry, it doesn't help at all. It does only one thing. That judge, on all the judges, will know that you get angry, and next time they will watch you. So just don't do that. Try to be civil about it, and try to appreciate them being there and judging and not playing the game, because again, they enjoy playing the game more than judging.
On that topic of the judges watching you, the thing I'm looking forward to most is hearing about all the bad rulings that are given at events on Vanguardians, as per usual.
Yeah.
And how bad judge 4,992 told me I could do this. The fist fights in the parking lot that don't actually have all the crazy stuff. I miss the stories. I'm sure a lot of you guys do too.
Dude, the
I
first
always
time
miss
I
the.
spoke to Bryce, oh,
My
oh.
favorite part is, did you appeal to head judge? And then the reply, no.
Yeah, right.
I've had my share of bad judging in the past as well. Like for some reason, I always have like a big target on my back. Like, hey, there he is. That's the spike player. Just hey, watch him. And I've had some decisions in the past that I was like, dude, why? Why am I disqualified? Really? For no reason? Okay, thank you. Just I will just start the next game.
That's fair. Casey, got anything to add to that?
I think judge is definitely, that choice to play or judge is definitely a tough decision, and I just like vocalize and everyone Vision has the same opinion. You know, thank you to our judges. You know, they sacrifice playing and they deal with can't even imagine what type of stuff when judging. So big props to them.
I think maybe he was referring more to the original question, which was post-pandemic.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
more so post pandemic. We kind of strayed off a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Honestly, just like D-Boy said, Springfest. I mean, you know, you get to play with your friends, and I definitely agree. There's still a little bit less of a competitive environment. You know, getting to play with your friends and just play the game you enjoy. And it's not, you know, you don't have to worry about, you know, oh, I gotta, you know, get top 30 to go to Worlds. It's a lot more relaxing, and I'm definitely looking forward to that environment.
You mean yelling at your friend who misplayed because they're dumb? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not yelling, banging your heads against the table like this. Like, I remember one time that was amazing. That was I was playing an event and we were at the finals. And my player C is always Martin. He plays DP. I play Spike. And our player A, so the team captain, that's the player who changes each time. And the thing is, my player C, Martin, playing DP, he that was the G era, and he had that second gallop where if you have like 2 or less cards in your hand, you can strike for free. So he forgot to guard with 1 extra card on the turn before that, so he could strike for free. And the thing is, he kept 2 cards in hand, 2 great ones, and he needed to draw a great 1 or higher to strike. But he drew a great 0. And I was looking at his hand and I saw, dude, you just needed to guard with 1 card and it would be okay because you could strike. And that's one of the moments where I was like, turn my hat around, bang my head against the table.
Yeah.
And my opponent was like, hey, what are you doing? I said, he just lost. And then the other player said, I won. I was like, oh, it's up to me again. That's those moments. I really treasure those moments.
Those are the best moments in this card game, like, especially when you threaten your teammate he's not riding home with you because he threw the game.
Be like, oh damn, that's a long walk home, dude.
Oh yeah, it was an 8-hour drive for us. So we were from Berlin back home to the Netherlands. So 8-hour drives. If you walk that,
Oof.
dang.
Do you guys take the bets to see who'll do the best on your team league teams for those memories? Like, who's buying dinner for the rest of the gang?
I don't take bets I can't win.
Oh shit.
Yikes.
For my team, it's the other way around. They don't take bets they can't win.
That's fair. Piggybacking off that, what's everyone's favorite experience from an event you created and hosted?
Ooh, I'll go last here.
Okay.
Ooh.
Who wants to start?
For me, I would say the first event that I ever tried, it was at a school. I got a classroom from my school, which I could just get for free. And then I tried to ask people around who played the game and stuff, and like only 4 people showed up. But the thing is, I was so proud of myself. I was like only like 15 or 16 years old, and I was so happy. I was so proud that it really stayed, like it had that special place in my heart. So that's the first one and my favorite one.
I'm gonna say that mine is always the same consecutive memory of when you're walking out the door and the event's over because you ran another banger. You know, any time it's successful, starting the event, having the people at the event, that's the first best feeling. Knowing that it wasn't a total crapshoot, and then, you know, after the event's over, you're just like, freedom. You know, and then obviously, like, if you get good positive feedback online from your event, that's always a positive. All right, like, as long as, you know, you're not getting those bad experiences from people that are like, oh, this is bad, and, you know, you're constantly building on that and evolving from those experiences, everything's always good. You know what I mean? So I would say overall, just the overall experience is probably the best for me.
That's fair. Ed, what you got a favorite event moment?
Me, favorite event moment was probably this year. I ran a Vanguard Zero tournament, Zero to Hero, where we did a team tournament, essentially on Vanguard 0. We played Top Cut a little bit differently. We used a kind of like a fighting game bracket. So you have a loser's bracket and a winner's bracket. And in the grand finals, goodness, I forgot the first team, but it was Team Absolution was in the losers bracket finals. So they were in the losers bracket. They ended up resetting the bracket somehow, and then won the next one in probably the most wild fashion with Azel. He hit he hit like he forced himself to 4, healed back to 3, and then obviously the damage goes back, got himself to 2, and I was like, oh wow, what a god! Imagine being so good at Vanguard. But it was the most exciting thing to watch because realistically, 0, you don't expect it to be such a good spectator kind of game, but it's so fun to watch and see what happens because it's not you playing and you don't get healed on, so it doesn't affect you. It's just like you're just like, oh
Yeah,
my
right.
god.
Casey, you got a favorite?
I would say it was like our first VCC in the fall, the Win of Flight one, and Quinn was streaming, and all the like Vision organizers were on the call. And I remember it was Mordred versus Gauntlet Buster on stream, and Gauntlet Buster had double critted, so he was gonna 0 to 6 Mordred. And I remember we were all sitting in call watching the stream while organizing, and the Mordred player hit 4 heals in a row, all in his damage zone, and Quinn was just like losing on stream, and we're losing it in call. We're just like, what are like the statistical chances of that? And everyone like in the servers going crazy, and it was just, I don't know, it was a very like, it was a fun moment, you know.
Almost like watching a sports event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, what about you?
So I'm going to cheat a bit here because for me, it's the entire event of Cardiff Team League 2019 in the UK. And I had 3 standout moments. And they don't just go in chronological order, they also go in like war order. So the first one was that the beginning of day 1, like early morning day 1, I'm checking deck lists, checking sleeves, getting people signed up. It's getting towards like, almost 10 o'clock, so we're about to start round 1, and we're just getting to like the last 10, 15 people in the queue. I mean, I'm like relaxing for a bit, just leaning back, just like taking a breath. And I got what like someone who I know his name, but I didn't we weren't friends at the time. We're friends now, but at the time, I didn't really know him that well. He came out to me and was like, "Hey Ben, I heard you're building Ezel, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm missing like a few. He's like, "Hey man, I heard you might need this," and he just hands me a Ravenhead Ezel, and I'm like, "Oh man, how much do I owe you for this?" He's like, "No man, like think of it as a thanks for what you did." I'm like, "Oh shit, dude just gave me $15. Cool." Like that was like, that's probably the best I've ever been rewarded, like for judging by the community, which was amazing. And the second highlight is the Bushiroad Judge Dinner. So for those of you who aren't part of the judge program yet, Bushiroad will treat you to dinner if you judge an event, usually on the Saturday evening of a weekend event. And Bushiroad's not a rich company, right? They're not going to treat you to like Wagyu A5 beefsteak, but they do look after you. But this was Cardiff has just this was the first event after Bushiroad EU had been like disbanded. So our event was being run by staff from Singapore who flew all the way in from Singapore. And so I was speaking to them, telling them how we do things, explain to them like what the process is, how the players to look out for, how the venue works, because we've been using this venue for years now. And somehow I managed to wrangle them into taking us to like, I don't know what it's called, but like, how like there's that Brazilian food where they bring you like the meat on the big skewer and they cut it onto your plate. Yeah, we somehow that's the one. Yeah, we somehow wrangled them into like Bushiroad paying for us and 5 judges for that event. So that was pretty awesome. And then the final standout was the entirety of day 2 of Cardiff BCS, where we had 127 teams, team league, playing standard, 127 teams, and two judges, me and one other person.
Yep.
Y'all are troopers.
That was now it was both a nightmare. Like I remember that was the one event I've never taken a break in because like it was only 2 of us. So like Dan was on crowd control, I was on doing deck lists and sleeves, and then we had the Bushiroad staff like on the laptop actually taking the sign-ins, and then Dan had to do all the match slips by himself while I was watching the floor, making sure that there were no rulings or queries. And because I was constantly on the floor giving out queries, I wasn't able to people didn't have the option to appeal because I was also the head judge. So like if I gave a ruling, that was fine. People can't be like, I disagree. Like there was so many things going wrong. And like it would constantly be like me shouting across to me like, Dan, can you like do this? Dan, can you do that? And he'd be like, people would come to me like have a question, be like, I'll answer you as soon as I finish putting these results in. Or I remember like towards the end of the day, like just as we had like a 20-minute break between the end of Swiss and top 8. And like I went to the bathroom and I decided like, I felt like my shirt was a bit sweaty. So I took off my shirt and the entire back of my shirt was a different color to the front.
Oh,
Oof.
dang. Yep.
Yeah, it's the hardest I've ever worked. But then at the same time, like after it was all over, people were like, "Oh my god, Ben, I can't believe you did that!" Or like, holy shit, Ben, you're a fucking monster. Like you did 400 people with just 2 of you. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that."
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
It's kind of like what Robbie was saying, like the pride of like knowing you did a good job, just overcoming all the odds.
sometimes it's really get insane. Like that's what I said like before. It's just insane. Like when you have 2 judges and you have so many people you need to help, and sometimes like people have an issue and you need to solve that, but you need to be very fast and firm about it. It's like, this is the ruling, this is what happens, that's it, that's enough, I need to go. And then sometimes like people really come into you and then they ask you some questions about the ruling or just about you, and you be like, dude, I really don't have the time, please come to me after the events, please.
Yeah.
But I just need to do this. And it's really nice that people actually understand that. That's also one of the things that we appreciate about the community. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, man, thanks. Just continue on. I will come after the event," or they just message you on Facebook and stuff. So that's one of the things that I really love about the community. That people don't really get mad that often. They just let you do your thing, and then they will keep watching you, and they think, "Whoa, he's really working hard for us. Okay, let's try our best to also be better." So that's one of the things that's when people see you do better, they also try to behave, let's say. So yeah, definitely good.
Oh, actually,
Sounds good to
I've
me.
got one other tiny little story about time, which is this happened in 2018. So yeah, the statute of limitations is way over, so I can definitely tell this safely. So it's London BCS 2018. We start the event. Day starts off like 5-10 minutes late because we had a lot more people than we were expecting to sign up, but that's not a big problem. We do the opening ceremony. We tell people, hey, there's like 200 of you. It's going to be 7 rounds, 25 minutes a round, all the regular stuff. Note 25 minutes around. Event gets started, no big problems. We get to around round 3, which is like just after 12, and one of the judges comes up to me and is like, Ben, we have a tiny problem. And I told him, okay, yeah, like, so we go to behind the judge station, but out of earshot of everyone else, and he shows me a piece of paper. It's like, I've done the maths. It's taken us 40 minutes to get. We took 40 minutes to get round 1 done, and 45 minutes for round 2. At the rate this is going, we're going to be well over time. Like, we need to fix this. Like, we're taking way too long on the rounds. And I just looked at him and I said, we're doing 20-minute rounds from now on. We're just straight up cutting 5 minutes off the round. Like from now until Swiss, we're doing 20-minute rounds. Tell nobody. Just set the timer 20-minute rounds. And we did that, and nobody cottoned on, and we finished on time.
Yeah, do what you gotta do sometimes, right?
Yep. I mean,
Alright.
it was standard, right? Or was it premium?
It was standard.
Standard. Okay, you could do that to standard, but premium people get crazy.
We got one more question. I'm gonna wrap it up with. We have each one of y'all answer this one. What is the one advice you would give to somebody who wants to start their own tournament or work with their community? Start with Ben.
I think my number one piece of advice is value yourself. Like, there is no need for you to die on a pedestal. There's no need for you to fall on your own sword for the sake of the gaming community. Like, no matter how much you love Vanguard, how much you love the people playing it, like you are your priority. Like, look after yourself. Like, there's been times where people have asked me judge questions and I've answered them, and I realize man, this guy like there's one guy who I'm not going to name. He doesn't message me anymore, but he used to message me like every other day, like with like some dumb hypothetical situation, and I would keep answering. And eventually, I got fed up and told him like, look, man, like if can you next time let me know when it actually happens, and I'll answer your question. Like you just need to know what your limits are and respect that, and get other people to respect it as well. Because it's all very well, you being Superman and taking everything yourself and pushing your body to its extremes and doing whatever the hell you want to do for the sake of everyone else. But then that's not sustainable. One day you're going to run out of gas, and then when you're gone, then who does it, right?
Yeah, I have to agree 100% with that. Also, one of the things is that sometimes when you just try to message and type everything, it really takes a lot of your daytime, because sometimes like you'll be like sitting there for 20 minutes, you're just messaging that guy, and then you go to the next, and then after that you watch like your clock, and then it's 2 hours later, and you'll be like, dude, what have I done in those last 2 hours? Actually, yeah, just helping some people, but again, I could have done this or that. Especially if like you live on your own, then you have like lots of responsibilities to do, right? And then sometimes people just expect from you to be ready to answer their questions every time they message you, and it's just not like that. So people need to understand like it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you have some free time, you need to answer them. And it's really nice to get all of those messages, but you don't always have the time. And it would be very nice for people to understand that and be more appreciated of the time that we do to give them those answers. The same goes for Bushiroad. I always say that their email, uh, let's say, service is amazing. Like when you send them an email and you get like in 2 or 3 days you get a complete perfect answer, that sometimes also people take that for granted, because it's not always like that for other card games. So you could like communicate with like judges, you could send Bushra themselves an email, and you always get like the answer to, let's say, the perfect answer. So that's also very nice.
I don't know about Bushra giving the perfect answer there.
Sometimes that's why I did this.
Yeah, that's contentious.
That's fair.
They have a Discord now. They have a Discord now that people can ask
I
questions.
don't think so.
There's a European judge Discord where we discuss rulings and stuff, but it's not very active.
Gotcha. Ed, what's your advice for this?
I think they did remote fights at it.
Do what?
For people that want to run their own like their own events, or no, hold on, sorry. All right, starting over. All right, what happened?
Sure.
Sorry, I was
You're
all over
fine.
the place.
So what's your
What
what's your take on it?
advice would I give someone trying to build? Start where you can actually start. Don't go into it thinking, hey, I'm gonna have this grand rent out a tournament. I mean, sometimes it's even as small as like, hey, I got to talk to the shop owner, see if he'll let me run this event. It's really just start simple and don't try to overdo what you want to do.
Don't try to do more than you can handle.
More than you can handle. That's the word.
So yeah,
that's,
that's fair. Fair enough. Casey, what you got? What's your advice for anyone who wants to start up?
Honestly, I would just say have fun with it. You know, it's really easy to get bogged down with bad sportsmanship, stress, just issues going wrong. But at the end of the day, you know, have fun with it. You're helping create and foster community with the game you love. And I think that's a privilege that not all of us can have. So, yeah, have fun.
Okay. Robbie, what about you?
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Don't do what I did and try to think you're better than everybody else, because it's not worth it at the long run. But like everybody else said, you know, have fun with it. You know, live up to the decisions that you make for running your events. Be prepared for feedback, whether positive or negative. Don't cry yourself to sleep because you disqualified little Timmy for cheating. I'm sure Ben's got a couple stories that he can't tell us about disqualifications and not being able to sleep at night. But outside of that, just live up to it. Don't do it if you don't have the backbone to stick to your
Lost him. He'll be back.
Just lost some of the connection.
Decisions.
There you go.
There we go.
We dropped you for a second.
No worries.
So anyway, yeah, just TLDR, just don't do it if you don't have the time. Other
That's
than
fair.
that,
I've
Fair
got
enough.
one tiny last thing for anyone for the judge program specifically. For anyone taking the judge test, next time Bushroad opens up like the online test, whatever, just like literally, even if you're like just the tiniest bit interested in judging, just do the test anyway. Like it costs you, an hour of your time. If you get through to the interview section, the interview takes an hour of your time after the event, not during the event, so you can still play. And like worst case scenario, you get some of the questions wrong, and then you learn why you got those questions wrong, and then you learn the rulings off of that. Like I know the the compensation, the quote slash pay for judging an event, like the day rate is not the most attractive of that time you could be doing, but just being a certified judge on its own already gives you a lot. So there's no reason not to try at least. And even if you fail, don't get disheartened. They open up the test every season. You can try again as many times as you'd like. There's no you failed too many times, you can't try it again. There's none of that. Just if it's something you're interested in, just do it. There's no reason not to take the exam. And it's, if nothing else, I would say Vanguard is one of those game systems where the rules, once you wrap your head around one of those 2 or 3 oddities, the system is easy enough that most of it will make sense once you get to a certain point anyway.
You
Fair
just
enough.
need to keep up with it. Sometimes some new rulings or something you change, just keep up with it, and then you'll be good to go.
If
Going
nothing
back to
else, go online. People like myself are more than happy to answer some questions. Maybe even tutor you a little bit. You'd be surprised. Because like D-Boy was saying, there's not enough judges in Europe. So I will do everything. If someone in Europe comes to me and says hey Ben, I really want to get into judging, and I want to do what you do. You bet I'm gonna put effort into making sure that he can fill my shoes when I decide to stop judging.
Yep.
Okay.
Going back to the original questions, I have 3 things to say. First one, watch this video. Watch this video because we have talked about a bunch of things that could help you out, of course, to organize your own, let's say, events. Second thing, be organized. As the name said, it's one of the most important things. You need to have a plan. What are you going to do? Where are you working towards? So that's one of the most important things. You really need to be organized, because if you are not organized, then the tournament itself or the event itself will not be organized. And the last and the most important thing, I've talked about this in this video, try to surround yourself with people that you could really count on, because that's very, very, very important. Sometimes it's not the perfect event that you want. Sometimes you miss people. Sometimes you yourself have an issue that you really need to take as a call or something. You really need those people around you. So don't be a one-man army. Sometimes we have been put in situations where we have to, but try to have those people around you that could. And then again, try to motivate those people to become judges, as Ben is doing. Really try them to get into that let's say, the organizing part. Because if you yourself are trying to organizing a tournament and you have some friends around you, tell them about it. Just try to get them involved. And when they are involved, they really want to help. Try to ask them, hey, where could we do this, or where we could do that? And then when they get involved into it, they also become interested in it. And that's also one of the most important things, is that you can't really expect people to help you out if you're not reaching out to them. And you have to understand that sometimes you're reaching out to people and those people will be like, no, I'm not into it. Don't give up. Try again. Try to reach more people. There are always people that want to help you out. And if they're living in other countries, they have so much things that they could tell you out of their experience that could help you out in your event. So reach out to people and be organized.
Fair enough. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate y'all taking time out of your days to come and join us on this panel. Thank you, everybody, who watched, and have a good rest of your con.